We have all been there, rushing to an important meeting or forgetting something very simple. Almost every one of us goes through stress. Hello and welcome to Healthcast by Happiest Health. I am Archita Puranik and we are talking about stress and anxiety in this episode. Joining us, we have Shruti Sharma, a holistic psychotherapist who will tell us valuable insights about how to calm yourself down when you find yourself in a panic situation. Welcome, Shruti. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Archita.
Let's dive straight in and understand what is anxiety and how to deal with it.
I think anxiety is a very broad spectrum, right? Like you said, there is stress and then there is panic, which is absolutely on the other end of the spectrum. Anxiety fundamentally means whenever you're experiencing anxiety, it just means that you don't feel completely safe in that situation. And I'm not talking about nervousness, that is different, right? A little bit of stress is something that we all go through. It could just be eustress, the amount of stress that is required to get any task done. But when we talk about anxiety, it is a state of heightened arousal in your body, wherein there's a fight or flight response that your body would be experiencing at that time. Cortisol levels are high, adrenaline rush in your body is high, and it just means that there might be an external threat, which can be a real threat or a perceived threat. Right? Maybe the situation you're facing is really threatening and something could really go wrong with you physically, emotionally, in any way. Or it could be a perceived threat wherein you could be feeling that the situation is gonna cause me some damage at a psychological level, emotional level, whatever. But it's not that. It's just maybe coming from your past and something in this present environment is triggering that difficult experience, and that is a perceived threat. Then you have internal threat. Yeah. So a negative self-concept, a negative view of self, or a very harsh inner critique. Yeah. Or a tendency to actively suppress parts of yourself or your authentic inner voice. All of these are examples of internal threats, right? So anxiety comes up when there is an external or internal threat like this. It is also very preventative emotion, right? So it could just be trying to prevent an experience that you don't want, that you don't know how to deal with. Mainly anxiety also comes in when you don't know what to deal with a particular situation. I don't know how to sit with this emotion. That will bring up anxiety, right? So prevention could also be towards difficult emotions. When you say how to deal with anxiety, I think dealing with any struggle emotionally is a very layered process. Okay, so let's take anxiety maybe on the basis of what I just explained as a signal from your body that this situation does not feel safe. It's a communication, and a very overwhelming communication sometimes. And the more overwhelming it is, the more it is on the side of panic, right? So if it is that communication that your body is sending it to you, the primary need is listen to that communication, right? So listen to what about that situation doesn't feel safe for you. So curiosity is the fundamental principle when you're trying to deal with anxiety or any other emotional struggle, right? But the problem here is anxiety comes up with so much of discomfort, right? You're having shortness of breath, you have palpitations, sometimes we are sweaty, and there's a very, very strong catastrophic rush of thoughts that we experience a lot of times with anxiety. Therefore, the first thing becomes to calm yourself down in that moment, right? For that, we do emotional regulation, or there are a lot of practices about, bringing back your nervous system to a calm and an okay state. So the first thing is that, but that is not dealing with anxiety entirely. That does not mean that, okay, you've dealt with anxiety and it will not come back. It will come back eventually when that trigger comes back. So after you've calmed yourself down, it is suggested that you inquire, see what feels difficult in that situation. Is it the present, is it the past, or is it just how you feel about yourself? A lot of times anxiety just comes up because we don't feel that okay about ourselves, and therefore that is something that needs to be paid attention to.
And how to find out the causes or triggers of anxiety?
again, it's going to be very subjective depending upon different people. If you have fear of scrutiny, if you fear judgment a lot, you would be very scared of those situations. They could trigger it out for you. Fear of scrutiny is very common because of the amount of shame and judgment that a lot of us grow up with. We internalize that judgment, we internalize that shame, and we are judging ourselves quite a bit, and therefore in social situations we project that onto others and we feel like, okay, they're also going to judge us, right? Very common trigger. So when do I know that I'm anxious? Do I feel something in my chest? Do I feel like I'll throw up? Do I feel like running away? A lot of people will feel a rush in their limbs, like they really want to run away from the situation right now. Yeah, so people feel sweaty, a rush of thoughts in the brain is very common. Some people start to feel physically very small. Even if you are, whatever your height is, doesn't matter, you'll feel like you're caving in. You're going inwards, you want to hide. And a lot of times that is also a sign of anxiety. Along with that, you would have some palpitations or something. So you realize, okay, I feel this way when I'm anxious. Now, what about this scenario is bringing these feelings up for me? So break that down, figure out which part exactly is bringing the anxiety response for you.
How do a person calm themselves down when they find themselves in a panic situation?
A lot of people associate panic with a sense of claustrophobia, like they literally cannot breathe in that moment, right? It's almost like something is trapping you, right? And you don't know how to get out of that trap. That trap could just be the analysis of what consequences might follow if you go ahead and you have this conversation with that person, right? So the first idea is, see if you can make that process a little easy for yourself, right? So if speaking makes it hard, can you write it down? Can you start by a smaller text? If speaking to that person feels hard, can you go and speak to someone else about it, a safer person? So you're gonna need to find elements of safety around that difficult thing that you're trying to do. It could be running your thoughts through another person. It could also be a space that feels safe for you, and you make sure that you have a conversation there. So you need to build safety in order to deal with the stressors that you're analyzing. Yeah. Now coming to that feeling of panic also, right? That's basically a very strong fight or flight. It's a flight response, to be honest, right? A panic response is a flight response. You don't want to be there in that situation. At the same time, you feel like you have no way to go out of it, right? So in that situation, bring your attention to the body. Body is always more powerful than your thoughts, because the number of neurons that carry messages from your body to your brain are way more than the number of neurons transmitting information from brain to body. So if you can tell your body that, hey, you're okay, you're safe, there are ways to be all right in this moment, your brain will agree, the panic will come down. Okay, so for that, we have breathing exercises, right? However, in panic, breathing sometimes can be hard. So you club it with sensory grounding, I would say, right? It would be great if another person could also assist you, provide you a sense of touch. A safe touch helps a long way when it comes to panic. However, if that's not possible, look at space. Okay, if you can look at the sky, look at the sky. If I feel panicky right now, I will look at the empty space on the floor, right? So shift your gaze to points which have a lot of space. So it tells you, hey, there's space, you're not trapped. Okay, that is one. The other thing you can do is you can also just try to engage your other senses or touch something. Okay, if you have something around you that you can just touch that. So your body's attention from the feeling of being trapped shifts to the feeling of maybe a soft touch or something else. And therefore, your body will be like, okay, there are other things in this room apart from just me and the threat. And that feels safe. Yeah. So a combination of breathing and shifting to spaces, looking at spaces, that can help.
I'll tell you a couple of situations which I think most of us go through, and you tell me how to deal with panic in those situations. Sometimes the loss of someone or something leaves us with anxiousness or some uncomfortable feelings. How to deal with that? Can we discuss a couple of breathing techniques which might help in a situation like this?
Yes, sure. So, a very common breathing technique that helps a lot with severe anxiety, also to mild to severe anxiety, might not help alone when it comes to panic.
Okay.
Right? Then you'll have to club it with something else. Okay? That is diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, so if you want, we can do it together.
Yes.
Yeah, alright. So it's very simple. It targets your interim nervous system, which is here in your abdomen. We call it the interim nervous system because the nerve density in this area is very high. The vagus nerve is also, connected here. And so if you activate this area of your body sends a signal to your brain that, hey, you're okay. You're safe. So calm down. Okay, so for this you can just keep one hand on your abdomen so that you can feel the movement of the air inside of you. Keep the other one on your chest. Okay, so usually when you breathe, can we take a usual breath and just see how our chest and abdomen interact or react? What is happening? Is your stomach coming out? Is your chest coming out?
Both
Are
together,
coming out.
yeah.
Both together. So this is segmented breathing, wherein when I take an inhale, I want my abdomen to come out first. Okay, and then I want my chest and my shoulders to be filled with air, and then as I exhale the air in my abdominal area first, and then I exhale the rest of the air. Right. So the abdomen would go inwards first, and then my chest and my shoulders. Okay, should we do it together?
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a gentle, deep inhalation. Allow your abdomen to bulge out as you inhale. Then allow your chest to fill the air in itself and bulge, and your shoulders. Now, I need you to exhale through your mouth. Exhale the air from the abdomen first. Allow your abdomen to flatten, and then allow your chest to go inwards after exhaling all the air. Okay, so this is one. It is recommended that you do at least 5 rounds of this at once so that your body gets enough time and enough. It's also like a pause, right? And your brain is focused on what goes out, what gets in. So whenever you're doing something logistical like this, your frontal cortex is activated. Okay, and your frontal cortex, when your frontal cortex gets activated, your amygdala, which is primarily responsible for your anxiety, that will calm down, and your anxiety is likely to calm down as well. At least start being more present with yourself, and then obviously see how you're feeling towards yourself, and you take care of that. Is finding a corner of safety in your own body. That's just one of the many things you can do. However, any technique of emotional regulation or managing anxiety is applicable almost in any situation. So there are no special techniques for one situation. It's just that depending upon some situations or the person, one technique might feel more relevant to you in that moment, right? We spend a lot of time outside of ourselves. Right? Not literally, but we spend a lot of times in our thoughts because we are so confused and so agitated all the time. A lot of us don't really have a lot of touch with our body. So you can just start by feeling your body, right? You can do a simple body scan for that, wherein you just move your awareness from the top to the bottom part of your body. You become aware of the internal space in your body, and after that you can actually look for that one space in your body that still holds comfort for you, that still holds okayness and calmness for you. Do you think you want to do this now, or you want to do this? Okay, sure. So I would like you to maybe place both your feet on the ground for this, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. And sit with a backrest lie. Allow your back to rest. Allow your back to lean on the chair and receive support. This is a very small exercise where you allow your body to receive some support, and you don't have to carry everything that your body is holding by itself, right? So let's just take 3 deep breaths, and with every exhalation that you take, we will just try and become aware of our body a little bit and the support that we have. Okay, so let's inhale gently. As you exhale, allow your awareness to tune in with the body. Allow the body to let go of a little bit of what it's carrying. Allow the chair to support it. In the last exhalation, become more and more aware of how your body's internal space is right now. Okay, now we breathe gently, normally, and move our awareness from the top of our body to the bottom. So let's, for a moment, try to become aware of how our head feels right now. And just remember, this is your body, this is your home. See which parts of your home feel safe. See which parts of your home have difficult sensations that you possibly can take care of. So head, then your face. Come down to your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your abdomen, back, lower back, your arms, your hands, your palms, your entire lower body, the muscles of your calf, your feet. Okay. How does your body feel right now?
Calmer.
It's calmer. Okay. Can you tell me, if there was to be one part of your body that is like the center of that calmness, or that holds the reservoir of calmness, where would that be for you? Tune in again. You can.
I think gut.
It's your gut.
Abdomen.
Your abdomen. Okay. So you store your calmness in your gut, right? In your abdomen. It's beautiful because a lot of people also feel most amount of anxiety here. But then yes, this can be a part of your body that also stores a lot of calmness for you, right? So also, just to point it out, with a lot of breathing and a lot of grounding, not just breathing, any kind of grounding, you can create reservoirs of peace in your body, right? So if you feel that your abdomen is the place, just stay with your abdomen for some time. Just stay with the internal space in your abdomen for some time. Yeah, with a few gentle breaths. That's where your internal environment is becoming safer and safer. And in a long run, people who are able to not feel so anxious anymore is because you have built so much safety in your internal environment that even if there is an external threat, a real threat, this is your buffer. And this tells you that it's okay, I'll be fine.
But I think I felt a little heavier on my head.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm conscious right now and the situation is like that.
Yeah.
But
If you stay with it for long enough, it expands to your entire body and anxiety dissolves.
Amazing. Okay, so I think people can do this when they feel agitated and maybe just want to calm themselves down.
Yes. But this, you always, at least in the beginning, you need an external anchor, right? So right now your external anchor was the chair and the support that it was giving you. So you have anchors everywhere, right? If I ask you, look around in this room, find one thing that makes you feel calm and safe, you'll find something. That's also grounding. Looking at this plant, it could just ground someone.
So you have used this word a lot, grounding. What does it actually mean?
So distraction is a widely used coping mechanism with anxiety, but what happens with distraction is that you are not there, but anxiety is still there.
Yeah, true.
So
Yes.
I'm in my head, I'm on Instagram, but anxiety is still in my body. It has not gone anywhere. Grounding, on the other hand, is allowing something to hold you in a moment of difficulty. You can ground when you're not in a moment of difficulty either, but in that case, it is just being present, right? So grounding is presence, but in a moment of difficulty, it's also allowing something to hold you. Yeah. And when it comes to anxiety, there's a very strong grounding technique with the earth itself. It's called rooted grounding meditation. And in that grounding technique, you actually allow the anxiety or any heaviness in your body to be taken care of and to be contained by Mother Earth. So that's a very powerful grounding tool, and that's how you're anchored and you're contained, and you don't have to go through that instance alone. So if I look at this plant right now and then I allow it to impact my inner state, I'm taking support, I'm being anchored by the leaf.
So, after discussing so much about anxiety, stress, and panic, a lot of people don't believe that they can actually have this. So maybe because they have never been through it, so they're like, no, I don't have that kind of problem in my life that I face anxiety. There's a lot of denial. So is it something that builds up over time, or it's something which will just show up on your door and like, okay, fine, you have anxiety now? How does it work?
Anxiety, again, it's an umbrella term, right? So I think it is pretty difficult to have gone past so many years of living without experiencing any kind of overwhelm, right? But what overwhelms you could be different from what overwhelms me or anyone else in this room. So, it's about threshold also, right? Some people can actually have a higher threshold. If you have a lot of protective factors in your childhood and your body has been taught to transition from a state of distress to comfort, your threshold for stress tolerance is actually going to be higher because your body will not get overwhelmed in a lot of situations, right? But then that is not in your hand. So we build those protective factors as adults, those of us who experience anxiety. So it is possible that some people don't experience very high levels of anxiety and they have, maybe greater protection. I wouldn't say protection, but tolerance against stress. That is possible. However, if we talk about denial, that I think a lot of times just comes from conditioning and this subjective or the selective acceptance towards yourself, wherein everything good and glorious about you is acceptable and is desirable and you should focus on that, whereas anything that shows you a human limitation that you have, like feeling anxiety and feeling stress and feeling like you're crumbling and burning down and you can't do more, all those parts are to be selectively rejected, and that's where we suppress. So yeah, there could be denial about that because a lot of us have been told that you're not really allowed to feel stress. If you feel stressed, you're gonna not do well in life, which is so untrue. But that denial could just come from a place of a lot of shame, and you don't want to describe yourself or define yourself as a stressed out person, which is not true, because I could have stress, I could experience anxiety in some situations. In other situations, I could be extremely efficient, calm, capable.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you so much for speaking with us on anxiety. I hope viewers, after watching this video, will have better idea as to how to deal with anxiety and how to navigate through it. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. It was great talking to you.
That's all for this episode of Healthcast. Stay tuned for better knowledge, better health.